I'll be
This
recording the
conference will now be recorded.
I'll be recording the sessions regularly. So our today's class, I have told you, is going to be the programming basics. Okay, so we will start with the excuse me. So programming basics. Okay. So whenever I talk about programming, okay. So first of all, just we'll try and understand about the programming. So whenever I'm saying a program, okay, so whenever I'm saying about a program, so program is nothing but a set of instructions. Okay, so let me, uh, so programming basic. So let me define a program first. Okay, so program. So whenever somebody is talking about a program, so program is a set of instructions. What is a program? So program is a set of instructions along with the data. Along with the data. So along with the data. So program is a set of instructions along with the data considered as input. Considered as input. So what is a program here? So program is a set of instructions along with the data considered as input that are to be processed that are to be processed to give the output that are to be processed to give the output. So what I'm trying to say at the end of the day, I'm trying to say that so whenever I'm talking about a program, so the program is said to be a set of instructions along with the data which are to be processed to give the output. Which are to be processed to give the output. So if I am saying, if I'm talking about input, okay, if I'm talking about input, so let's just give you some idea what exactly I'm talking about. So I'm saying a programmer will be giving some input. Okay, a programmer will be giving some input. So what that input will contain basically? That input will contain instruction along with the data. So what is this? This is add. What is add here? Add is an instruction. What is 4 comma 3 here? 4 comma 3 is the data. So these inputs are to be processed. Are to be processed. So what do I mean by processing then? So and the processing is nothing but adding 4 and 3. So what we are doing here? We are adding 4 and 3. So adding 4 and 3 is nothing but logic application. Okay, so what is basically logic application? So when I'm saying logic application, you are applying the logic basically. So what you are doing? So you are applying the logic. So program is nothing but a set of instructions which are to be processed that will help you to give the output. So that will help you to give the output. So now, for example, if you observe here, 4 and 3 added means you are going to get 7. So what is the 7 for you? 7 is nothing but the output. Okay, so 7 is nothing but the output. So when I am saying 7 here, so what is 7 here? 7 is nothing but the output. Okay, so 7 is nothing but the output. So at the end of the day, as a programmer, your responsibility is to give the input, process the input, and get the output. Get the output. So this is basic idea of any programmer. So irrespective of the programming language. So if he is writing a C program, or if he is writing a Java program, or if he is writing a Python program, it doesn't matter basically. So everyone has to go for I, P, and O. Okay, so everyone has to go for I, P, and O. So no matter what programming language you are working with, you need to go for IPO. So this is basically a cycle. Okay, so it's basically a cycle where we try to give the inputs and that inputs are processed and that processed input will let you take the output basically. Okay, so that's the basic idea of the programming. Programming. Okay, so now how we write the program, so how we develop the program. Okay, so I'll say program development. Okay, so program development. So whenever I'm saying program development, so what do I mean by program development? The program development is nothing but developing the program. So program development is nothing but developing the program. Okay, so what you are doing? You are developing the IPO. In simple terms, if I say you are developing the IPO. So you are developing IPO. So in simple word, program development is nothing but developing the program. Okay, so developing the program using what? Using the programming languages. So developing the program using the programming languages. Using the programming languages. So what you are using now? You are using the programming languages. Okay. So program development is done. Okay, by developing the program using the programming languages like, okay, so C, C++. Okay, so you have Java, so you have Python, so various other programming languages. So now you have Scala, so you have Golang. So there are many programming languages for that matter. Okay. Now, so now what we have chosen to develop the programs first, so we have chosen Java for our program development. So Java first. So what we have selected basically, so we have selected Java for program development. So our main aim is to work with Java programming. Okay, so our main aim is to work with the Java programming, and in this full stack. Okay, so in this full stack Java, what are the things that we will be covering? Okay, so that things I will tell you today. So what are the things that we cover, and we talk about the data basics. Okay, so we talk about the data basics today. So, so before completing our class today, so you will be understanding what exactly the data is. Okay, so what exactly the data is, and how and what are the data elements that you use in the Java program you will be learning. Okay, so that is our main agenda for today's session. So Java for program development. So Java is so if I have to define Java program, Java is a programming language. Java is a programming language. Okay, so Java is what? Java is a programming language used for developing used for developing okay used for developing simple to complex program. Simple to simple to complex program. Okay. So it is used for developing what? Simple to complex program. So Java is a programming language which is used for developing simple to complex program. So whenever I'm saying simple to complex program, so simple addition. Okay, so if I give you a simple example, so simple addition of two numbers. So addition of two numbers is a simple program. Addition of two numbers to the biggest of the application. So to something like a particular application to manage. Okay, so a simple addition of two numbers program. Okay, so addition of two numbers program to so something like application to manage airline services. Okay, so manage airline services. Okay, so I am talking about a complex program. So from addition of two numbers program to the application which is involved in airline services. Okay, so which is involved in airline services. So this is how it can be used for simple and simple to complex program. So we can build simple to complex programs using, okay, so simple programs using what? Using the Java programming, okay, using the Java program. So when I say, so when I say a Java program, so what you can do, you can develop simple to complex applications. So we will start from simple programming and then slowly moving forward, we will be developing much more bigger programs. Okay. So now, so when I'm saying a Java program, I'm working with Java program. So you are working in with a programming language which is used for general purpose programming. Uh, so if I say general purpose program, okay, so Java is used for general purpose programming. So why I'm saying this general purpose programming? So why I'm talking about Java being a general purpose programming language? Why I'm talking about Java being general purpose programming means it is not specific to one thing. Now, for example, I want to create an application. Okay, so I want to create an application uh, for something like e-commerce. Okay, so application for e-commerce. So Java is not only for e-commerce based application. Java is for something like library management system. So Java is something like working with Aadhaar authentication. So it is like general purpose. It is like general purpose means it is used for almost all the purposes. Okay, so not specifically Java is made for only mobile applications, not that Java is made for only some kind of standalone application. So Java is made for everything. So that is why we call Java as general purpose programming. Okay, so Java is general purpose programming. Okay, so now, so like to understand or to define Java, these two things are enough. But when I talk about uh, Java, so the main term that I will be using is Java is an object-oriented programming language. So Java is an object-oriented programming language. Okay, so what is Java? Java is an object-oriented programming language. So when I'm saying Java is object-oriented, so what I exactly mean by Java being an object-oriented programming language. Okay. So, so what is Java? Java is an object-oriented programming language. Okay. So Java is an object-oriented programming language. So the thing is, why Java is called object-oriented? So that's the main question actually. So why Java is said to be an object-oriented programming language? So many people know that Java is an object-oriented programming language, but why Java is called object-oriented programming language, and why we are discussing this at the first class itself? So that is very object-oriented. As Java is object-oriented, so it is totally developed on two entities. Okay, so it is totally developed on two entities called class and object. Okay, so what are the two entities on which the class is developed? Class and object. So without the class, without object, so there is no object-oriented programming language. So Java is an object-oriented programming language because it is completely based on class and object. So because it is completely based on class and object. So whenever I'm saying class, whenever I'm saying object, so what are the things that we need to understand? And thing is, why we need to understand? So that also is a very important question. So first, let us define class and object with examples so that we can understand why it is important and how we can relate that to our program. Okay. So first of all, let me define a class. Okay, so it's a very, very important discussion because without the knowledge of class and objects, it is very tough to go forward into the Java program. Okay, so let me make you understand what is a class. Okay, so before all this, I'll just ask you a simple question, something like, who are you? Okay, it's a simple, very simple question. Who are you? So if anyone can open up their mic and answer, it would be great. Who are you? So if I'm asking this question, who are you? So there might be employees in this class, there might be students in this class. So let's say one of the student of a college. So we'll say, I am a student. Okay, so who are you? So I'm not asking like what is your name and all. I'm asking you who are you? Okay, so you might say I'm a student. You might say I'm an employee. Okay, so you might say I'm an entrepreneur. Okay, so what you are saying, so you are telling me about your class. Okay, so you are telling me what? You are telling me about your class. Okay, so about your category. So you are telling me about your category. So whenever I'm saying category, so category is nothing but to what you belong. So you belong to a student class, you belong to an employee class, and you ask me the same question. I will say I am a trainer. So means I belong to a trainer class. Because I belong to a trainer class. Okay. So whenever we get into the discussion of a class, we say that student, employee, trainer, all these are what? All these are categories. All these are categories. So whenever I'm saying category, so category is nothing but a class. Technically speaking, category is nothing but a class. So which will be helpful or which will tell you about something which you belong. Okay, so here. Now, for example, if I ask you what is in your hand, so you will say mobile. So what is this mobile again? So mobile is a class. So now I may have Samsung mobile, you may have iPhone. Okay, so you may have something like Vivo phone. Okay, or you may have something like Oppo phone. So then what are all these? All these are the objects basically. All these are the objects. So Samsung. Okay, so suppose for example, my name is Viru. Okay, so Viru trainer. So here, who is this? So this is a object. Okay, so I am an object. I am a physical object which belongs to this class. Okay, so I am a physical object which belongs to a class called trainer. So now, for example, I have Rahul. So who is Rahul here? So Rahul is a physical object. So Rahul is a physical object belonging to the student class. Okay, so suppose you say Ajay. So Ajay is a physical object belonging to the employee class. Okay, so the physical things what you see are nothing but the object, and the logical ones which you don't see, but all of the objects will belong to that particular category or to that particular class itself. Okay, to that particular class itself. That is called as class. And just imagine uh, a trainer. Okay, so trainer is a class and Viru is a object. So now just imagine mm, me. I cannot say I'm a trainer if there is no class called trainer. Means the class is compulsory. Okay, so without class there is no object. So without class there is no object. So without the class there is no object. Okay, so there is no object. So that is why it is a very very important discussion, because without class and object there is no Java itself. Okay, so that is why I told you very very important. And how we develop the class, I'll also tell you, because without class development we cannot write a program. Okay, so that is why it is very important for us to understand the definition of the class and preparing the class also. Okay, so preparing the class also is very very important for us. Okay, so first let me define a class. So class is a, okay, so not only for the entry level Java, so it is Now you can, as I told you, for addition also you require class, and for airline application also you require class. Okay, so without class you cannot move forward a bit also. Okay, so that is why it is very important for us to understand the class. Okay, so let me define a class. So let me define a class. A class is a logical entity. So class is a logical entity. Okay, so class is a logical entity that may refer to a person. Uh, okay, so that may refer to a real life. Okay, so that may refer to a real life person, a place, a thing, or an event or an event. Okay, so whenever you're talking about a class, I just try to relate these things to the real time also. Okay. So class is a logical entity that may refer to a real life person, place, thing, or an event. So now let's say I am developing a project on, okay, so a project on airline system. Okay, the project on airline management system. Okay, so airline management system. Now, what are the entities that will be there in the airline management system? Okay, so it's an example basically where I will categorize all the classes. Okay, airline management system. So now, for example, I need a pilot class. Okay, so just I'm writing in simple words. So I need a air hostess. Okay, so I need a air hostess. So who are they? They are the person. Okay. Now I need a place. Okay, so I need a place. So that place, okay, so that place I will say airport class. Okay, so I need a airport class. Okay, so airport class is nothing but a place. Airport class is nothing but a place. Okay, right. So I need a thing. So I need a flight class. Okay, so I need a flight class. It's a thing. Okay, so I need a flight class, which is a thing. Okay, so places I can also define something like source, destination, so many things I can, but I don't want to complicate the thing. Okay, so now event. So event is something like booking. So booking. So event is something like booking. Now you see, a class is a logical entity that may refer to a real life person, a place, a thing, and an event. So now I just took airline management system. So if I took employee management system, if I take something like hospital management system, so there are so many things. So there are so many things that you can just relate to the real life. For example, you take hospital. So you take hospital. So I'll just try to tell you. So doctor. So doctor class, patient class. Okay. So operation event. Okay. So it's an operation event. So then if you try to talk about a place. Okay. So try to talk about a place, hospital itself. Okay. Hospital itself. Operation is an event. So this is a person. Person, I told you place, I told you event, so I told you many things you have, like you can say a table, operation table, so many things, operation theater. Okay, so it's a kind of place, event, okay, so person, place, thing, or an event which is logically existing. It is logically existing. So logically existing in the sense you need to create objects out of it. You need to create objects out of this. So without the objects, you cannot do anything. Okay, so without the objects, you cannot do anything. Now, for example, if I say, so for example, if I say a class, so class is generally called as a blueprint. So a class is said to be A class is said to be a blueprint basically. Okay, class is said to be a blueprint. Okay, so what is a class said to be? Class is said to be a blueprint. Okay, class is said to be a blueprint for creating the object. Okay, so creating the object. Okay, so class is what? Class is a blueprint for creating the object, because without class you cannot create the object, remember. Okay, so class is said to be what? It's said to be a blueprint. So there can be a project in which many pilots will be there, many aircraft will be there. So many airports it will be the source airport, destination airport, and in the middle you have some waiting airport. Okay, so you have many flights, you have many booking options. Okay, so what are all those? All those are the options. So there are 10 pilots, let's say. So there are 10 pilots in airline system. Okay, so there are 10 pilots in an airline system. What are these 10? So these 10 are the physical objects. These 10 are the physical objects. So suppose there are 15 air hostesses. So these 15 are the objects. These 15 are the objects. Okay. So source airport, destination airport. So two airports. So two airports are the physical airport. So that is how we say that a class is a blueprint for creating the object. Okay. Now let's understand what is an object. Okay. So what is an object? Let's try and understand. So when I say object, so when I say object, so object is a physical entity. A physical entity. So what is an object here? Object is a physical entity. So what do I mean by an object here? Object is a physical entity. Okay, so object is a physical entity which is an instance of the class. Which is an instance of the class. Okay, so what is it basically? It is basically the instance of the class. So what is an object here? Object is a physical entity, so which is nothing but the, what is it called? It is a physical entity literally. Okay, so it is a physical entity which we also call it as the instance of the class. It is also called as the instance of the class. So whenever I am saying an object, an object is what? Object is a physical entity. Object is a physical entity which is called as the instance of the class. Called as the instance of the class. Now, for example, you take a pilot class. Okay, so you take a pilot class. Okay, so you take. Okay, so you take which class? So you take a pilot class. So let's see. Right here. So I will take a pilot class. So now, for example, if I'm saying pilot P1, okay, so pilot P1, okay, so pilot P1. So now, what can be this P1? So this P1 can be a object reference. P1 can be a object reference. So pilot P1. So airport S1. Okay, so flight S2. So that can be a reference. Okay. So how to initiate that reference? I'll tell you. Okay, so this is how you can talk about. Okay, so you can talk about a object. So pilot P1. So we have to initialize it. So that is a Java way of initializing. I'll show you in a moment. So now pilot P1 is nothing but. So now for example, I will say trainer. So this is our reference. Okay, so this is our reference. So this is a trainer Viru. So what is this? This is my reference, which will represent the physical body. Okay, which will represent the physical body. So this is the Java way. So how to do it? Now we will understand. This is the Java way. Okay, so we will have to understand it in the Java way. Okay, so trainer is the class. It is nothing but the reference point. Okay, so this is nothing but my reference. Okay, so if somebody has to point to me, so they have to use my name. Okay, they have to use my name and they have to say So they have to say by this name. Okay. But how will I initialize? I initialize in the Java. Okay. Now before going into the Java way and all, as I've told you, classes will be of two types. Okay, so classes will be of two types. So one, okay, so now I hope everyone understood what is a class, what is an object, uh, theoretically, right? Now we will see it practically how we can create a class, how we can create the object. Okay, so in Java, we have two types of class. So without class definition, we cannot move forward. So that is why on day one itself, I'm just giving you a clear picture of what is a class. So in Java, we have two types of class. One, built-in classes. What is the first one? Built-in classes. So built-in classes are the classes which are already defined, and you have user-defined classes. Okay, so built-in classes and user-defined classes. So built-in classes. So what do I mean by built-in classes then? So built-in classes means the classes which are already created. Okay, so which are the classes which are already so the classes which are already created in the Java environment. Okay, so the classes which are already created in the Java environment. So what we can do? We can just reuse them. Okay, we can just reuse them. Okay, so we can just reuse them. Okay, the classes which are already created in the Java environment and can be used and reused. Okay, so use and reuse according to the user requirement. According to the user requirement. Okay, so according to the user requirement. Okay, so next we will talk about user defined classes. So what are these user defined classes then? The classes that are the classes that are created according to the created according to the user's requirement. According to the user requirement. So just now I told you, airline management system, hospital management system, those are all user-defined classes. No one will define all of them for you. Okay? So you need to create it by your own, according to the user requirement. So we will not talk about the user built-in classes right now, but we will talk about the user-defined classes. So how generally a programmer will create a class? He will say class followed by the class name. Okay, so class followed by the class name, and he will give the data. He will give the data. So he will give the data, and he will give the method. Okay, so we will understand the data also. Okay, in our discussion, but let us try and understand this. Now, for example, if somebody is creating, okay, so if somebody is creating a class, okay, so just now I created something like pilot, okay, so class pilot, so class pilot, okay, so class pilot, so this is creation of a class, okay, this is creation of a class, okay, so class pilot. Now how I can create the object for this? So I have to say pilot P1 is equal to Java new pilot. Okay, so new pilot. So this is the way that we create the object. Okay, so this is the way that we create the object. Okay, so this is how we create the object, and this P1 is the reference object. Okay, so P1 is the reference object. So who is the exact object? This is the exact object. Okay, so that object is referenced by P1. So if you say P1 as object also no problem, but exactly speaking, this is the object. Okay, so new pilot is going to be the object. Okay, so this is the way that we create the object. So now finally I will define what is OOP. Okay, so we will end the class today. So by the definition of OOP. OOP stands for what? So we did not define it, but once we understand classes and objects, then only we can clearly understand the meaning of the object-oriented program. So and OOP is object-oriented programming is a style of programming language, or else I should say it's a paradigm. Okay? So I did not use this word style. I can use something like that. Okay. So it's a concept of programming. Okay. So now object-oriented programming is a concept of programming where the programs are developed, using the basic concept of a class and an object. Now you clearly understand what is a class, what is an object, and what is OOP. OOP is nothing but a paradigm where the programs are developed using the basic concepts of class and object. Okay, so that's it for today's section. I just want to talk to you, so that is why I just winding up a little bit early today. So what are the things that we have understood today? So program, what is a program basically? Okay, so and what is Java? So what is Java? So Java is a programming language used for developing simple to complex applications. So it's a program which is used for general purpose and it is object-oriented programming, and we got the real meaning of object-oriented programming also. Okay, so hopefully everyone is clear. So if anyone having any doubts, any questions, you can ask me right now. Yeah, Sai Charan and Swapna.
No, sir, no doubt, sir.
Yeah, Swapna, do you understand?
Yes, sir. Understood, sir.
Oh, okay. Okay. So we'll meet tomorrow then. So we'll see any new students will join.
Okay, sir, done.
Uh,